Hello and welcome. My name's Heather. I'm a registered professional counselor and I'm going to be watching Selling Sunset Season 5, so let's dive in.
I've never actually co-listed with Brett before. I've never had a listing over 10 million. So this is a big deal. But I do know I'm going to take some heat as far as favoritism goes because I'm dating Jason.
So it sounds like Chrishell has a level of awareness and she is worried that she's going to get some backlash from the other girls in the office thinking that this is favoritism. So I'm curious to know how she's going to deal with that and also how the other girls are going to deal with that as well. There might be some levels of jealousy. There might be some passive aggressiveness. There's a lot that can happen. So what might be helpful is maybe for Brett to explain to the other girls why he gave it to Chrishell, although he doesn't necessarily need to explain himself because he's the boss, but it can be helpful, again, to try to work on that workplace morale so people don't think it's favoritism. And I guess if he has another 2-digit listing, then he can give it to someone else who's worked really hard, like Heather. I think there needs to be some level of transparency as to why certain girls are getting certain listings and others are not. So again, that can definitely help in terms of the workplace morale. It can definitely help to make sure people know that there's no level of favoritism, but it definitely seems like Chrishell is preparing and she's expecting for people to think that. And she's trying to remind herself that she's worked really hard, she's earned it, so I think that's definitely going to help in terms of her self-esteem, being able to move forward and have that level of confidence within herself as a real estate agent. And I think that for the other girls, maybe they just also need to see that. Again, just the timing of it is not necessarily the greatest because she's, now openly dating Jason and then all of a sudden Brett is giving her this listing. So I think that is going to create trauma. Also, just a quick reminder that everything I'm saying in these videos are a complete speculation. I'm not here to diagnose any of the participants. That is unethical. I'm not in a counseling session with them. I don't know them. The purpose of these videos is to use the events from the show to talk about psychology theories in general, also relationship dynamics, and how we can improve our communication skills.
I believe she captioned it the J-Lo effect, but the J-Lo effect is when you were dating someone prior, you took a break, and then you dated someone again. It's very incestual.
The J-Lo effect? Is that a thing? Google this. Has anyone here heard of the J-Lo effect before? This is the first time I'm hearing of it.
But I hear stuff from everybody, and I'm like, there's a lot of people.
But you have to understand.
Feels like you're not friends with anymore.
Well, no one has the balls to hear my side of the story. They just go off of what they hear from everyone else.
So I wonder if we're going to hear what Christine's side of the story is later on in the season. So Amanda is clearly trying to mediate Christine's arrival back to the office, and she's saying that she's kind of caught in the middle. She's hearing what the other girls in the office are saying. She's also trying to help Christine be able to mend some of the relationships before going back to the office. And Christine said that she hasn't talked to Mary or Chrishell in over a year, so I'm guessing that's the last time they filmed. I'm not entirely sure exactly, when the filming was happening, but it seems like there's been a long period of time since they last had that fight at Jason's place. And again, nothing got resolved. And I think that there's just a lot of compounding layers of hurt and pain from both sides. Before I forget, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more analysis videos like this.
I met up with Christine the other day about her coming back in more full-time to the office.
Oh, wow. Dramatic music.
I'm sorry. It's just she just came out and said a bunch of terrible stuff about our relationship. Yeah,
Really? Wait, what?
What she said to TMZ or something like that was,
Oh.
as soon as Chrishell walked in the office, we totally connected and everyone saw it. It was so obvious.
So I know a lot of people are going to say that Christine is a narcissist, and that's not the purpose of these videos. If you've watched any of my videos, you would know that it's very difficult to diagnose someone with narcissistic personality disorder. I did talk about this in my previous Selling Sunset video. So if you're curious to know a little bit more about what it is, feel free to check that out, because I do go into what narcissistic personality disorder is a little bit more in depth. So it's possible that Christine is high on the narcissistic spectrum, because narcissism is on a spectrum. Everyone has traits of narcissism, and some people might be very low on the spectrum and other people might be very high. So maybe that's what we're seeing from Christine. The other possibility is that Christine just really likes to have that attention from magazines, from paparazzi, and she likes to give these certain statements to magazines or tabloids because she just enjoys it. She enjoys the drama, she enjoys stirring the pot, or she just really likes the attention and being, front and center in these types of articles. So there's a lot of different possibilities as to why she likes to continue on with these dramas, or she just likes to give her own opinions, and for her, she thinks of them as facts, even though it may or may not be based in reality, but she still thinks that it's true.
She basically accused me of cheating in my marriage with Jason.
Oh, right!
And she knows it's untrue. She's just stirring the pot.
Oh, right. I forgot that she was married to Justin Hartley for the first couple seasons of Selling Sunset.
What is your side of the story?
What is this, like an intervention? Like,
Okay.
I want to see someone with a new perspective coming into the office and just seeing it for what it is. No bullshit. I think we're ready for some new blood.
So what I do find interesting in this interaction is that Amanda said, okay, well, what is your side of the story? And instead of Christine taking that opportunity to share what's going on for her, she turns it around and asks if this is an interrogation, even though she could have just said, well, this is my side of the story and here's what's going on. Here's why I said all these things. She doesn't want to take any responsibility for her actions or her role. And she's just going to think that she's being 100% authentic, or she's keeping it real, kind of like DJ Shake that we've seen in Love is Blind. Again, it's interesting that she would appoint herself for being the only truth teller. And, she might have a certain number of followers that actually believe what she says and find the way that she approaches certain topics to be refreshing, and that's okay. But I think it's important to acknowledge that what she's saying or how she says it is hurtful to other people. And we also see that earlier in the episode, she met Chelsea and she's trying to get her on her side, or she's trying to get her to come work at the Offenheim group with them, and it's clear that she wants someone on her side. She's feeling alienated, she's feeling ostracized from the other girls in the group. Instead of trying to mend her relationships with these other girls, she just wants to bring in someone new, and we see that she's been trying to groom this new person into learning about her side of the story, and she's saying all these horrible things about the other girls, essentially picking on her. It could be definitely a way of her trying to prime this new person into already thinking that these other girls are horrible and that Christine is essentially the victim. And she's trying to have some form of influence over her. Maybe she's doing it on purpose, maybe she's not. How we frame other people or situations can impact the other person's experience. Research has supported this. There was this one experiment that they had in university where researchers told half of the classroom that the professor that they're going to have is very warm and very friendly and very nice and just overall a really good professor. And then they told the other half that the professor was very mean, very cold, very distant, and, I guess they're not a good professor at all. And they kept track of the students, and then at the end, they had the student rate their experience or what they think of the professor. And what they found is that what they told the students at the beginning actually impacted their rating of that professor. Even though those students were in the same class with the same professor, depending on what was told to them beforehand actually impacted how they rated the professor and how they perceived their professor to be. So for those students who were told that the professor was very mean and very cold, that's how they would rate that professor, as opposed to the students who were told that the professor was very warm and friendly, and they all went to the same class. The professor did the exact same thing and nothing was different. The professor was very neutral. But depending on what was told to those students beforehand was what impacted how they perceived them. All to say that what Christine is telling Chelsea will have an impact on how Chelsea sees the other girls. It will influence how she sees them and how she views them, even if she tries to be neutral, even if she tries to be objective. It's difficult to do that when you already have some idea of what to expect, or if you have one version or one perspective of the other person. So it's going to be interesting to see when they all meet. And I can get why Christine wants to have someone new into the office, and she wants someone on her side. She feels like she's getting picked on. She feels like she's being alienated and ostracized from the other girls. So it makes sense as to why she wants to have someone a part of her team for once. And again, instead of trying to fix and mend the relationships with the other girls, because maybe she just doesn't have the tools or the social tools to really know how to do that, or maybe there's a part of her that doesn't want to do that, and that's okay too. It just means that the workplace environment is going to be extremely uncomfortable.
Brett has never given me a listing like that, or some of the other ladies at the office.
Yeah, so again, they're already thinking that there's going to be some favoritism.
Spice Girl!
Hey, girls.
Hey!
Oh, Chrishell said hey, at least, but yeah, everyone was quite cold. So there's definitely a lot of tension. Christine's first day back, no one acknowledged her, no one said hi except for Chrishell, and I can understand why Christine would feel extremely uncomfortable. And I think for her, she was hoping that it would be maybe a clean slate or a new start, but it's really tough for the other girls to pretend, especially because there's been a lot of issues that haven't been resolved. I can also see from their perspective, because they're thinking, well, what's the point of being nice to her if Christine is going to go and say all these mean things again, or if these things keep happening? It kind of makes sense, right? Because there's a lot of hurt on both sides, and Christine feels hurt because she feels that she's being alienated and rejected from everyone, and obviously that's not a good feeling. However, she's not really seeing her role or taking responsibility as to why the girls may be treating her like that, and she feels misunderstood. I know that they've tried before to try to hash things out, to try to clear the air and to talk about things, and it always went sideways because Christine feels like no one understands her, and she's not really doing herself any favors by being able to explain what she's going through or why she said the things that she said, because she's saying that no one wants to listen to her side, and yet when she's given the opportunity, she just deflects. So definitely not a good dynamic, not a good way of communicating.
First of all, who can do a Venus waltz to Harry Styles, like Adore You or whatever? I can.
Oh, there could be a number of reasons as to why she behaves that way. Again, it could be because she just likes the drama. It could be because she wants the certain type of attention. It could be that she's very high on the narcissism spectrum.
Hello!
You look like boss. You're looking real bossy.
What the?
You earned it, babe.
Ooh.
Congratulations, Mary.
And we see that she's already making certain snide remarks and comments, and she's definitely not happy with the fact that Mary got promoted, and she just ups and leaves. So all of this could have been edited to look a certain way, but I think for her, she's definitely going to have a hard time accepting Mary's role, and also just where she fits in the office. Maybe there's a part of her that just doesn't want to be there anymore, and that's okay. Maybe she doesn't want to repair the relationships with the other girls, and that's fine, that's her choice, but she has to accept the fact that this is how the girls will treat her if nothing gets resolved. So there's definitely a gridlock when it comes to their dynamics and the relationship in the office, and it can definitely lead to something even more toxic. It could lead to more drama, and I'm guessing that's what we will see for the rest of the season. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more analysis videos like this. In the meantime, feel free to check out my other therapist reviews videos, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, be kind and love yourself.